Hello and welcome to another Griniflix Adventure 8 video, and I'm Peter's Arms, and I'm going to be talking about how I got the shot. One of the things that I really am fascinated by when I watch other YouTubers and photographers and the stuff that whether it be landscape or portrait or whatever, was what did they do to actually get the shot? Was it set up? What sort of effort did they have to actually go through to get that shot? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my photographs. How did I get that shot? What was it by accident? Or did I plan it? Was I in the right place at the right time? What sort of camera did I have? What settings did I use to actually get the shot itself? Then it's not only just getting the shot these days. It's, well, how do you actually produce the photograph or the image? And that means going back into the computer using Lightroom, changing settings, cropping, adjusting the lighting, monochrome versus color. And I'm going to be talking about how I got that shot with a specific photograph. Maybe there's something in what I'm doing that can be of benefit to you as well. Just for those people that are interested, today I'm filming with the Nikon Z6 and a old Nikon manual lens, 35mm f1.4, filming at 1.4. So what's making that autofocus is a autofocus adapter called an Mega DAP MTZ2 adapter. The details will be in the description. Okay, the shot I'm going to be talking about is the night skies lightning show at McMaster's Beach. I was at my home there watching TV, and I noticed the lightning through the windows, but there was no thunder, so it was so far away, and I sort of ignored it for a little bit. But I thought, well, as always, these things irritate you when you're a photographer. There must be a shot there somewhere. It's late at night, there's no moon, it's dark, probably about 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and this stuff is happening outside. So, well, I grabbed the first camera that was to hand, and that was the Nikon Z6 with the 28-70 f4.0 lens. I grabbed a tripod as well. I knew that I would need that, so I set up the camera on the tripod and went outside, and then as soon as I got outside, I just set up the camera on the lawn and pointed the camera to the sky and started taking some shots. And what I noticed straight away, that lightning was happening quite frequently. So I set the camera to 30-second exposure, about ISO 4000. I mucked about with the ISOs from about 2000 to about 4000, and started off shooting at f4, and just to see how much light there was. The lightning would light up some parts of the sky and not other parts of the sky, so I wasn't quite sure which way to point the camera, so I was pointing in one direction and the other direction. And what I started to notice straight away was that my subject material, which was basically the sky and some houses and some trees, they weren't interesting enough. I thought, well, I got to change location to try and get a better subject. So I ran down to the beach and then set up on the beach to try and get the headland and see where the lightning was happening. And it was happening across a range of at least 90 degrees, if not more, 180 degrees. There was a wind and the clouds were moving, and so everything was happening. So again, I was taking shots all over the place. So 30 seconds seemed to be a good exposure. The ISO also of 2000 to 4000, thereabouts, seemed to be okay, and f4 also seemed to be okay, even though I did try f5.6 as well. I wanted to make sure, it was unusual in the way the storm was, because the storm was so far away, it meant that in the distance, say 30 degrees from the horizon, there was cloud, but then beyond that, you could see the stars as well, the part of the Milky Way as well. So I was trying to just hoping to be able to get both and somehow expose it correctly. The lightning was lighting up the clouds, and occasionally you'd see the strike of lightning as well, very distinct strike. I was trying to get a combination of light and all those strikes all in a 30-second exposure. So you can imagine you had to take a lot of exposures. I started taking the photographs when we had a shutter count of 3998, and then I finished the evening once the lightning had settled down to 4066. So that's about 67 photographs that were taken. And I was taking both the RAW file as well as the JPEG file, and in this case here I was shooting JPEG color and obviously the RAW file. Okay, so what was the photograph that we started off with? Alright, so this is the end result. What do you think of that? This is the final edit out of all the edits that I did, and what I liked about this was getting the lighting on the headland here. This is what I meant by we had these clouds, and these clouds were moving from the southwest and they were heading to the northeast direction, and as it was happening, lightning was occurring within the clouds as well as in the distance, lighting up the clouds itself, and then you can actually see the lightning strikes like on the horizon here. Quite amazing, plus all the rain coming down. The clouds are moving quite quickly, so a 30-second exposure meant that the clouds, depending on when the lightning lit up the clouds, you'd have a nice definition, and then you might have a duplicate definition somehow created as well in the distance that those clouds were traveling. Here again you can see the lightning here. It's quite amazing. There are multiple levels of cloud here, these cumulus nimbus clouds, I think that's what they're called. And then these really high clouds that in the atmosphere, plus other ones that are circulating around there, and some low clouds that also came through. Plus you can actually see the part of the Milky Way. As far as the direction this photograph was taken is in a southerly direction, slightly east. And if you look at this here, you can actually see how much star movement there is at this point in the left hand corner of the photograph. And then if we go somewhere over here, you can actually see that somewhere around here is actually due south. And when I sort of zoomed in here, you can actually see these stripes. Now these could be a couple of things, I'm not entirely sure. They could be meteorites zooming into our atmosphere, and or they could be satellites that were fast moving during the course of 30 seconds. I welcome anybody's opinion on that if you're an astronomer and you're an expert on this. So that's the end result. Let's have a look how the photo started. This is how the photograph was taken originally. So this is the JPEG file of the original photograph. And overall, I thought it was a great shot just in its JPEG format, so unedited, straight from the camera JPEG, 30-second exposure, and all in all, it's a pretty good shot, I think, in the first instance. So then it was really a case of, well, how can this be enhanced to make it a bit more dramatic? But yeah, to make it a better photograph. So that's a JPEG. This is the RAW file. So the first things first, how this could be cropped. Decided to take out some of the image like this. The next part, I looked at graduation filter. I got two graduation filters, and then I've done some overall adjustments in lighting as well. Foreground here was much lighter because of some lights on the beach, so I've decided to make that a bit darker. That's basically, you can see I brought the exposure down. I did muck about with the clarity and the dehaze as well, but that was the main thing to bring that down. On the sky, I've decreased some of the saturation, increased the clarity, increased the dehaze. reduce some of the whites. What I noticed was that when I adjusted these sliders here on the clarity and the dehaze, it brought up the stars really bright. So I took the whites down a bit and took some of the blacks down as well to compensate for that, and mucked it out with the shadows and the highlights just so I could bring some of the clouds through to fruition. Some of these clouds here, not to have the stars too bright, but then gradually bring the sky to almost black on the top edge here. That was the plan there, to give a nice graduation and balance to the whole photograph, I thought, and to highlight some of these different levels of cloud and at the different altitudes. And then overall, you can see the adjustments I've made here. Yeah, so that's the edit. These are all the different edits I did on that photograph. So this was one of my first attempts at editing. So I've already done the crop, but with the graduation filter here, I just felt the sky was too bright. Then I went to the other extreme and made it really black, and I thought that was too much of an extreme. So then I changed the crop and I brightened up the skies, those clouds back. So which one do you like the best? This was my first attempt. This was when I made the sky much darker. One where I kept the sky the same darkness but made the crop actually a bit wider. Or this final one where I've made the sky a bit lighter just to bring out the clouds and made the stars so it wouldn't stick out too much. Which of these photographs do you like the best? I hope this has been useful. I'm always trying to understand how other photographers are taking photographs. Again, what was the situation they found themselves in to be there to take a photograph? What equipment did they have, whether it was a phone or whether it was other equipment they had, how much time they had to set up, how many shots did they have to take just to get the one that they actually wanted, and then what they do when they got home and got onto the computer to do the edit. How much of an edit did they do? How did they adjust it? What was their artistic skill that they added to it, and what did they end up liking as a result? I welcome your comments. If you like this, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're a returning viewer and you are a subscriber, that's fantastic. If this is the first time, please do subscribe. That obviously helps YouTube channel creators, and welcome your support. I will do some more of these from time to time, and no doubt as you comment, I'll have some good feedback, whether it's something that you'd like to see on this channel. So do come back again, do subscribe, thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Again, thanks for joining me. Cheers.